Well folks, welcome back to the workshop. This is just another wee quick tool repair video. This is how you replace the motor on a Dewalt angle drill. This here is the Dewalt 18 volt cordless angle drill, DCD740 type 1. And she's done a fair bit of work because the motor is now gone. She's doing nothing. Just because it does nothing does not necessarily mean the motor's gone. It could also be a switch or a controller or something like that. To find out if it's burnt out or worn out, you still have to open the machine to actually look at the old motor. But one telltale way to tell is when you can hear something rattling around inside. Sounds like there's little bits in here. More than likely that'll be pieces of the fan broken off and rolling around. You can further test it by taking a wee slim flat screwdriver, and inside there is your actual motor fan. Give that a little turn, see if it moves, and check the actual fan blades, see if any of them are broken. If the fins are broken, or if the motor's not turning, you know the motor's gone. The only other way to tell is to open it up. For most cordless Dewalt tools, very easy to open. The only tool you need to open them is generally a T10 screwdriver. Most of the cordless stuff is put together with T10 Torx. A few screws hold the clamshell together. Lift that away. Inside you're going to get your motor, gearbox assembly, right angle attachment for your chuck, and your switch and controller down here. Now if the machine doesn't work at all, it's going to be one of two things: either your switch and controller down here, or the motor itself. If it's the switch and the controller, it's not going to be worth fixing. They can be quite expensive to replace. The only thing worthwhile replacing is the motor. That's only if the motor's not working. If there's any other problem, it's grinding gears or not moving, other problems could be up in the gearbox. So you actually tell if it's the motor. First thing we want to do is take this out. All it's doing to hold it on is just two spade connectors on the motor itself. One here and one here. Now to tell if it is the motor that's gone, the way I know with this one, what that is, not pieces of the fan. That is actually the carbon brushes have burnt away and are completely gone now. And this little piece here is actually a little leaf spring that holds the brush against the actual commutator inside the motor. So that is pieces off the motor itself. So I know this motor's gone. Another way to tell is you just look inside, see if the fins of this fan are broken off, and also if you look at the back, you'll see these little brass springs. These are the springs that hold the motor brushes down against the commutator bar on here. End of that little brass spring, there'll be this piece of brass as well. That's the actual end of it. There'll be a square hole in it with a carbon brush attached onto it. And then carbon brushes we push down onto the armature. As you can see from this one, there is nothing inside of there on the end of that spring. It's just a piece of brass, no carbon brush. So that motor is completely gone. If I go to the other side, this brass spring here, the spring itself is completely bent and misshapen. So that motor is completely gone. Total failure. If yours isn't showing any sign of complete failure, if you're still not sure if it's gone, you can take your battery, get two pieces of wire, connect one into the plus, one into the negative, and touch the two of the two prongs here and see if the motor runs. You're just going to run it direct from the battery. If it doesn't run, you know your motor's gone. If you are doing it that way, don't cross the wires or touch the wires together, or you'll short your battery out. But for me, this one's gone, and we know it's gone. So let's replace it. First thing I'm going to do is just give it a quick wee clean down. Generally, for repairing these tools, main things that's going to go wrong, it's going to be the switch and controller assembly down here and your motor. They actually aren't all that powerful. They're only a convenience tool to get you out of a hole. They're not going to do heavy work. Because they're geared down so much for the angle attachment, the gearbox and angle head generally don't give a lot of trouble. Maybe you might have to replace a chuck, but not often. Normally when small drills like this here fail, it's because they've been used for something they really shouldn't be used for. They've been used and abused and overloaded. Generally when they're overloaded, it's going to blow out the controller or the switch or burn out the motor. They're the two main things. Generally the gearbox just doesn't give much trouble. To get the motor off, all there is 4 screws on the edge of the gearbox. Take them out. Your motor assembly just lifts straight out. Now it has this aluminium plate on the end of it. It doesn't actually need to be removed. It comes part of the new motor. The screws weren't actually even tight. That must have been flapping about a wee bit. That's the old one. If you're looking for one, that's the number there. N071094. That's it. One complete unit. Because Dewalt just put it inside a box, generally, and transport, they get banged about. And the 2 ends for the spade connectors normally get bent on. Not uncommon, but not hard to fix. You have to do is just straighten them out again. They're only brass, so they're very easily straightened. Now before you reattach it, make sure you have it sitting in the right orientation. You don't want it sitting like this because the leads are going top and bottom. Just be careful where you put this little red mark here. One connector has a red tick. That's to show that it goes to the red wire. So that has to go on this orientation. So put it on like that. Give it a little twist. It drops on. Then all you have to do is tighten up the screws. And that's it. On your motor, fit it to the Dewalt gearbox. Down your change lever for your gear selector. Reconnect up your wires. Red wire to the red connector, black wire to the other side. Don't forget your little rubber grommet for the back of the motor. That's just to centre it on the housing. Once the wires are connected, push it back this way, push it down. It should click down into place. When you move it around with your hand against the body, it should be sitting firm. It should not be rocking back and forth. If it's rocking a little bit, it's not located down correctly. Just give it a little wiggle, make sure it actually goes in and seats itself. Then you just need your wee trigger switch. Clicks in there. Then a cordless drill, just make sure your forward and reverse selector is actually engaged as well. Make sure it hasn't popped out. Nothing more annoying putting it all back together again and screwing it down to realise your selector isn't engaged. top cover straight on and just screw everything down. And that's her. One Dewalt 18 volt angle drill DCD740 with a new motor. That's her. Ready for work. If you have one of these drills and you need a new motor, that motor there is going to cost you about €50. Dear enough for the motor, but to buy the tool on its own, it's going to cost you at least $150. So to replace the motor, it's going to cost you about a third of the cost of a new machine. Plus, that's another one now, saved from landfill. Thanks for watching, folks. If you like these wee tool repair videos, give us a wee like and follow at the bottom. Cheers.